Put 2025 out of your mind, Florida State fans. Look ahead, and this is one of the best days to do that. National Signing Day, early here in 25, the first Wednesday of the month. So we will get you up to date on Florida State's most recent added to the roster. And here we go. We got Georgitis. The Renegade Report is the place to be, folks. The Renegade Report. We will drop the link in the chat so you can all lock in to what George has going on at the Renegade Report. Big Game James Coleman standing by here in a few minutes, coming in from Den Media Group as well. And I believe James is here. Look at that. All right. Got my two guys. How's it going, James? George?
Hey, glad to be here. We kept our top recruit. He didn't flip on us. Got some other good guys. I know James, happy to see a lot of them Florida kids in the class, especially the ones from around Tallahassee they were able to hit. There's some good things to talk about. I know everybody wants to talk about the recruiting. My mind was more on the admin and everything. It's like you almost forget we're on signing day, but here we are, National Signing Day.
Yeah, James, why don't we start with you? Just get your initial impressions of the class and your thoughts overall.
He's walking in the guy. Give him 1 second.
James, we got you?
I think he might have said he needed 1 second. But
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
When you look at the class, Florida State signed 17 kids from the state of Florida, 6 from the state of Georgia. So, that's 24 guys, or 23 if I'm doing my math right. Right there, close to the house. It's been one of the bigger critiques on Mike Norvell. People obviously going to count stars and, okay, you're ranked 14th. But just without getting into the specific recruits and everything like we will here in a minute, that was one of the bigger things that stood out to me. 17 kids out of 31. That's another number that stands out with this recruiting class. The most recruits, I think, high school recruits Norvell signed by like a lot. I want to say the most he ever signed was maybe 24 to 26 range. He signed 20 or 31 kids. We talked about it ad nauseum the past month about this being part of the reason you bring him back for one more year, just to kind of round out the core of your program, stack 2 decent high school classes in a row with all the changes. You changed from a 4-3 to a 3-3-5, and you lost like 14 people out of that front 7 to the portal that just were body types that didn't work or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it'd be nice to get a second year in there and stack these guys up. But yeah, 17 kids from the state of Florida is pretty good. You've got the top 3 guys now on the screen. When you look at it, it's them and kind of everybody else on the commitment list. So yeah, Chauncey Kennan is one. He dropped a little bit in the rankings. There's a little bit of hoopla. I think he lost his 5-star due to one of the, whether it was the rivals of the 247 updates here a couple weeks ago, but big time DB. I mean, he's a stud. He's the kind of guy you're used to Florida State getting year in, year out. Isaiah Williams is one that the dude flipped. I don't even know all the different schools, but he was committed to Florida State at one point in time, was at Ole Miss. Florida State flipped him back. Isaiah Williams is one of those guys, like Chauncey Kennan. You put on the tape, he's a baller. Like anybody would have taken him. You see why people have kind of put up with his wild recruitment, and Florida State stuck in there. Was lucky to be the winner of the musical chairs on that one. He's going to be the best. I don't even know how far back you have to go. He's the most athletic, kind of best prospect of a linebacker you signed in recent memory. So a big time get there. Again, out of Tavares, Florida, another Florida kid. And Jason Lopez, the kid out of Chaminade, Madonna, the wide receiver, 4-star wide receiver. All 3 of these guys, composite 4 stars, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned that. Jason Lopez was one you were really worried about losing to Miami or even other schools, because it's just kind of what was out there in the ether. But yeah, 3 big time guys, to get the stick.
Was it a situation, George, where once this season started to become unraveled, did you notice much unraveling with the recruiting class? Based on the rankings, it didn't seem like much changed, like too many guys left this class in the last couple of months.
No, I think when Mike Norvell came out with that press conference and was talking about winning national championship and stuff, I think he was giving assurances behind the scenes. I think he kind of forced them to come out and, give him, say he's coming back a year earlier, even though Mike Alford said they were going to reevaluate after the season. I think there was some like, look, if we're going to do this thing, we need to get this recruit class together. I think the kids knew probably before the public knew. If I'm being honest, I think Mike was able to say like, look, I'm going to be back, and say it with his chest because he knew. I don't know that for a fact, but no, you lost a couple kids. I don't know all the names right off the hand, 2 or 3 left, but no, you added 3 or 4 guys today, but 30, again, you don't get 31 by a class falling apart. We didn't get that many surprises today. So it's probably Mike Norvell's best recruiting class to date, if we're being honest. And last year's, while it wasn't, great on paper, they closed real strong. You hit on more D linemen last year than you have in his whole tenure. So I'm taking last year's recruiting class as a success. So yeah, it's of all the reasons of why Mike Norvell's here, money obviously being the biggest one, but the ones we talked about as far as what's going to happen, I think, he did his job. He brought in the high school recruiting class. 31 players is a lot of players coming off last year. We'll see what happens going forward, but they definitely did a good job of keeping it together despite what the record is.
We got you, big game.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just coming in hot off of. I told people they got to come watch here if they want to hear me talk about Florida State. I was like, because I'm not talking. I did my show late because I have a lot of things. I'm be traveling this weekend, and I got some things that I'm starting tomorrow. And I was like, I couldn't do my show this morning. I said, you know what? It's what Wednesdays are for. Got Mark Rogers. Let's just talk about Florida State. Get all your Florida State fix for 1 hour right here. So don't ask me whatever you want to ask me about Florida State. Y'all better come in and tune in to Mark Rogers and ask me right now.
Love it. Well, I'll start with a softball question just about your overall impressions of the class and how it shaped out.
It shapes out about what you would really want for a team that you feel is not as far off as what you would want. You are what your record indicates. But upon looking at it, and again, it's no excuse for any of this, but Virginia, a play away. Stanford should have won anyway, but a play away. North Carolina State, nowhere is bad. Like a lot of the games that you lost that you should have won, you could clearly flip those 1-score losses, and you would be in a situation where you would be probably in Charlotte arguing about if you're going to make the college football playoff, because if you win the ACC, as opposed to being in the disarray that the ACC is in now. Mark, were you aware that if Duke wins, that the ACC might not have a representative in the college football playoff game?
I sure am.
That is insane.
That is
if Miami
insane.
just didn't, if you tell Cam that if they would have just choked, we would be okay. We wouldn't be in this. I'm just messing with you.
Not one group of 5 gets in ahead of the ACC champion, but 2 group of 5 teams.
And they're 2 pretty good teams. And UNLV has a chance to mess all of this up even more. So like whatever, it's just craziness. I love it. The class, and I've had some people come on my page tonight and said that they were melting down in other FSU chats. If FSU has to play 10 to 20, if FSU has to play 15 freshmen in key roles next year, Florida State's not winning any games. Like Florida State's winning under 5 games. But what you did do is you got some body types that you can develop. You have some key guys that you know can come in and play around that Chauncey Kenny. Like your top guys are top guys. Everybody wanted that young man from Booker. That linebacker was worth the headache. We have another linebacker / safety that we flipped from Gaston County that's a 3-star that was at Arkansas. We've broke down rankings and Whitley on my show live when they committed. Xavier Tiller is going to be a tight end that could come in and contribute. Let's think about the rooms that are actually pretty good at Florida State. You're going to probably hit a quarterback in the portal. Hopefully they get rid of Thomas. I'm going to speak frank about TC. Great kid, just not a good football player. I told people that. But he played better than I thought he was going to play. But at still just a lot of things left to desire at quarterback. A lot of times missing the middle of the field. A lot of times doing some different things. I talked about his play on Monday. His play against the Gators and even what he said against that, he felt he went out with the bang. Completely selfish. There's no way I want the quarterback having that many touches and that many plays. So get me to Sperry or get me to somebody who I believe that are available that could probably produce with this level of talent that they have. Your running back room is, the sky's the limit with Usman and Sam Singleton, and you got a running back that you wanted. That was one of your first commits. That was at South Carolina that you got to flip. Your wide receiver room, if you can get Deuce Robinson to stay, you're really, really good. We have something with LaWayne McCoy. We have something with Boggs. But you got Devlin Carter, and you got the young man from Shaman Abadam that Miami wanted. These are guys that could come in and give you spot reps that could play immediately, but aren't guys that you necessarily have to rely on. But there are guys that can give you a spark to where you could be in the situation where you need to be at 8 to 9 wins. And so your linebacker room has the addition of 2 to 3 linebackers that make it better. Your D-line room is better. Your cornerback room has gotten better. What are we crying about today? That's all I mean. And again, because that's not going to, like, Mike did the thing with high school that we said he can't do. And that's recruit. And he did, for the first time, he's recruited over 30 kids. So there was a pure focus on the high school portal. And now they'll go in and they'll try to find a couple of guys from out of the portal that helps enhance them and then see where it goes. The schedule next year is brutal. You have 5 games that are very difficult. So that means you got to make sure you win the 8 that you're supposed to. And you got Mike. And when there are examples of people doing turnarounds when they do overhauls, and I guess we'll talk about that if we talk about more of the state of Florida State, just for some information that I was given just before we got on the show.
Yeah, dude. Everybody's talking about Gus Malzahn. Is he going to leave? Is he going to retire? Whatever. All I'm thinking about is Herb Hand, because I like some of the guys he got in this class. But when you look at Florida State football, 24 versus 25, obviously you brought TCU in there. You got some new running backs and stuff like that. But it was the offensive line. That was the biggest difference, like by a mile. The defense wasn't the greatest. It was better this year because they weren't on the field as much. But that was all because of that O-line. I'm a giant Herb Hand fan. I'm scared to lose him because we got to replace this whole thing. Like, what, all 5 positions? That's the thing that scares me about all this next year. But, yeah, pretty cool getting a couple just giant monsters from across the pond. Maybe we got us a couple Menelik Watsons on our hands. I trust Herb Ham to get him out there and do that. But, yeah, when it comes time to the changes and stuff, that's the single one glaring position I'm looking at, O-line coach.
I mean, I think, again, if Herb Hand is as good, and I'm not saying he is or isn't. Do you feel like we have marked improvement on the O-line, George?
Big time. I mean, night and day. I mean, I think that was the strength of this football team.
I agree.
Most consistent. You know what I mean? I would do whatever I had to keep Herb Hand, but he's shown a propensity no matter what the situation. He's going with Malzahn.
If our line has gotten better and Herb Hand sticks around, I don't understand why people are really crying.
Pay the man. Yeah,
we
pay
just
Herb Hand.
Florida State didn't make a move because we didn't want to be Penn State. That's what every Florida State fan really, as bad as it is right now, dude, it could surely be worse. And I can promise you this. It's kind of what I go back to saying last time we had this coaching search. And Mark, we were like, that's when around the time when we got together. It was during Taggart, in the beginning of Taggart, and then we got the coaching search. And I made a prediction. I was wrong because it didn't happen. Florida State said that they went and got their guy, Mike Norvell. That was their guy. I said a statement. I can unequivocally promise you that nobody fires a coach in the middle of the season to hire a G5 guy and allow them to finish their season unless they didn't have any choice in the matter. It's a very similar situation that just happened right now. You don't fire your guy that early unless you know you can get your guy. And only people who are trying to get clicks or don't understand the process can't see what actually happened. You didn't feel like you could get your guy, so you didn't go just make shit happen. And you didn't want to put the resources behind a coordinator that had no proven things. Florida fired a guy early unceremoniously to hire a guy who was just like that guy that they fired. Literally same qualifications, same damn state.
Same conference, same state, they just literally went across the street. I'll tell you what, ULM didn't work. Let's try the school in New Orleans.
We were this close. This is what I want FSU fans to realize. This is not a celebrate keeping Mike. This is not for Mike or against Mike. This is you don't move off your position unless you know you have something better, because then you're going to find yourself making the same dumb decision in 4 years, 3 to 4 years, that you could have waited and tried to do like Oklahoma. Oklahoma, you don't think that they weren't ready to get rid of their coach? You think Oklahoma wanted to go get that guy to go backwards? What they did was, okay, this shit ain't working. Let's invest. Let's clear out. And what they did was they went and got an NFL guy that understood recruiting. So much so that he literally revamped and made the Reese's Senior Bowl the premier thing, got guys going back to the Senior Bowl. People stopped going to those games. The East-West Shrine Bowl had actually took over that. But he's so much so in relationships, so much so understanding college football, that they went and got Nagy and away from what his cush job was. And is there anybody think it's like any coincidence that Oklahoma invested in infrastructure and now Oklahoma's Oklahoma's in the college football playoff? Oklahoma is because Texas A&M will get it. Oklahoma is depending on actually the whims of the college football playoff. A loss, Alabama win against Georgia away from potentially being a top 4 team. Probably not, but potentially being one. But we know for a fact they're going to host a playoff game. Emotions in the game of football are not acceptable. You have to play stoic. You have to take the tide. You have to take the wave as it comes. It's ebbs and flows. Again, that's not a pro Mike. That's not against Mike. That's just what the situation did. Because when I ask people who they want, if you can't get Lane Kiffin or you can't get James Franklin, nobody had any answers. And James Franklin, now, if they would have fired him and they would have got James Franklin, I would have been like, yo, that's a home run. Because again, look what they just did with Virginia Tech. Like, Virginia Tech is just poaching Penn State. And again, Florida State fans, if they would have bent to your whims, I'm telling you, that's what we were going to be. And what they decided was, I don't want to be Penn State. I'd rather be bad one more year and really look at the landscape than be Penn State. Because that's going to take a long time to come back from. Like, that is insane. Like, Florida with no head coach would have signed more people than Penn State did. That's a dead that is the sign of a dead program. And because they treated a guy, because again, everybody was like, fire Mike Norvell last year, but like, I was like, you don't fire a guy who came off of 13-1. You don't fire a guy that was one play away from taking you to the national championship and then think people are going to want to come work for you. Doesn't work like that. My bad. Sorry, that's just. But the recruiting class is indicative of that. Florida State has sufficiently sold people on the direction that they're going in. And all you can do, you can cry about it, or you can just say, hey, maybe it'll be better. But I'm going to buy my season tickets and rock out.
No, it was the one single reason, other than there not being a great option, as you so eloquently just addressed it. this recruiting class, the need to stack another high school recruiting class, it was there. This is the biggest positive in my book of bringing back Mike Norvell. Even if he's gone next year, the year after, just having the bodies and just a core there to kind of build on was huge. And, I agreed on everything you said, the whole James Franklin Penn State thing, when you really sit down and look at it, it makes you wonder what went sour behind the scenes there besides the W's and L's on the field. I think that's kind of why a lot of FSU fans are upset, is because we could have had James Franklin, like if they had decided to pull the trigger. But anyways, I don't want to litigate that. I didn't want James Franklin. I think the biggest problem in all of this, and the reason that another one of the many reasons FSU's in the situation it is, and to James's point, there aren't many options. It's another indictment on the calendar. You don't get to see any of these bowl games or let anybody carry their momentum. If the playoff happened and around the national championship was around Christmas or New Year's, and National Signing Day was February 14th or whatever it used to be, all of a sudden the hot OC, who's all of a sudden his offensive prowess takes his 9 seed to win the national championship, or this defense only gives up 30 points playing 4 games in a row, and this is a hot guy. Florida State doesn't have the option of hiring that guy. You have to take a risk on hiring a guy, and then now there's distractions, and maybe his unit's the worst one in the college football playoff, and you got egg on your face. It's tough, but with the portal and everything, it's tough. And you want to talk about admin and everything, that's one of the hot conversations about Florida State. Like, that's another, like, we're waiting to hire a consulting firm now to fix the admin and get people in there to help our GM and things of that nature. Like, we didn't know this was a problem like week 5 or week 6. We couldn't have hired the consult. Like, it was one of my biggest points of contention last year when Alfred did his press rounds and was talking about how much responsibility the GM and that whole department had. I was like, okay, so you're bringing in an NFL guy, like James was talking about, somebody else said, to help him be be above him, below him, something. No, it never happened. So hopefully that happens and they do control the things they control us. I'm always hearing coaches say, you sign a decent high school class. Let's figure that front office shit out, because we got like a week and a half before the portal is going to open, all this stuff. So hopefully that they can get that going and add on to this high school class, because we got some O-linemen to go by.
Definitely that. And some guys to keep. I think also, like, if Herb Hand is, man, I wish I had this. I got to get my phone's going to die. I wish I had my I always tell people, like, the only good thing about 247 is, outside of giving us a rankings system to kind of, even though I don't like it, it does give us a kind of a metric that's almost about as unbiased as it can get, because they do have the composite. But they have a class calculator, which I think is really, really cool. But they have something where you can look at the roster, and based upon what's there and what's coming in or what's committed. And I think if fans went and checked that out, they'd have a better understanding of if their coach is actually really good or not. And if Herb Hand is to be what we are saying he is, and I believe that to be true, he got putty to mold. Like, we don't need 5 offensive linemen. He recruited a good decent offensive line class. So you got to hold him to task to put some of them guys on that field, even if he does go in the portal to get depth and do some other different things. Your running game, I don't know if our running game was good or not, because Thomas Castellanos was getting 19 carries a game. That's what I don't want. I joke and say the root word of running back is run. The root word of quarterback is quarter. And I don't know if quarter means pass in some other situations, but I know it don't mean run. That's what I do know. And I don't want my quarterbacks running 19 times. I want them maybe running 5 to 10 at most, but I don't want them running more. I don't want them leading my team in carries. Even if they have a big run, they should not ever lead the team in carries. There's no way to be able to focus, because your eggs get scrambled when you get hit. But if they find if they get more competent quarterback play, I think it moves, it advances the conversation forward. But bigger than that, our defense just lacks the tenacity that Florida State is known for. And I just say attitude reflects leadership. When you look at Tony White, I don't see the Mickey Andrews. I don't see the Mark Stoops. I don't see all of the guys who were, because I still don't credit. Everybody gives Jeremy Pruitt a lot more props for 2013 than I think. He was only at Florida State for 1 year. And that was after Mark Stoops had developed everything and took a head coaching job. Mark Stoops built that defense.
Imagine taking a coordinator job, and that's what you walk into. Like a 1 year, you're at Florida State for 2013 only. Like,
yeah,
like,
but I think
shit.
like if Tony White would have been able to be, if that defense was more biting, more vicious, if they made more tackles, if they didn't have, I made a statement against DJ Lagway, that defense had more holes than a 30-year-old pair of draws. Like I just have not seen that before. And at Florida State, and as much as people complained about Fuller, it just made me realize why I liked Fuller so much. Fuller was at least angry all the time. Tony White just looks like his demeanor's just chill, and that could be good for Nebraska. It's probably good for UCLA. Just doesn't work for me here. The defensive coordinator is supposed to be the guy that I'm afraid of. I'm still afraid of Mickey Andrews to this day. And I ain't really afraid of much of anything. I know that old man can't get me, but he might got a little tussle in him if I try to whoop him. But like Mickey would have never allowed this. He would have went out there with 10 players as opposed to having 11 guys out there that couldn't tackle. And I just seen, the guy Ball is still running on these guys. There's no sense of pride, no sense of urgency, nothing. And again, I seen a coach. The only thing that made me mad about Mike, that really made me want to get rid of Mike, it was nothing about the coaching on the field. It was nothing about the X's and O's. It was the fact that number 3, I don't even know his name, got in his face, and the only repercussion was he probably didn't sit in first class on the plane flight home. That would have never happened when I played at Florida State.
Not getting cooked. 3 was getting cooked in the first half of that Gators game.
Because I would have said, if Mickey Andrews would have said, if you would have played with the same aggression on the field that you're showing me, bringing up the fact that you're getting cooked, maybe you wouldn't be getting cooked. That was the only thing. Not just like you got to get rid of some of these guys. And again, just like these articles, man. They were crying because they're NIL. They were crying because they can't read. Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me a bunch of college students didn't read their contracts and then they pouted, thinking that I was going to change the situation? It's so aggravating because sometimes the answer is simple as we suck, and we need to play better. There doesn't need to be any outside things are the reasons why we aren't any good. Breaking news, 247 introspective article. Florida State has the secret reason to why Florida State's playing bad. One of the dudes got in a fight because his girlfriend got taken. No, that works on reality TV. That's not the way this world works, or not the way it's supposed to work. And if that's the truth, fire everybody, not just the coaches. Start over. Maybe we do need to be Penn State. Because what I'm being told to believe, which I know is not true because it's getting clicks, because it's salacious, is the fact that we just got a bunch of soft-hearted guys. And we don't need that. You can't play this game like you can't be tender-hearted and play this game.
Oh man.
Good stuff out of these guys. Florida State Seminoles live here on a Wednesday night. So what you do, folks, is lock it in, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for the notifications, because we are here every week. But sometimes it's Tuesday, sometimes it's Wednesday. So turn on the notifications to know when we go live. In the meantime, Den Media Group with James. Also, we got the Renegade Report with George. And while we're there, George, let us know what's going on at the Renegade Report.
I'll tell you what, the biggest thing going on at the Renegade Report is the Renegade Roast. Little did I know when we launched this thing in 2023 that it was the perfect platform for the current state of Florida State football. James mentioned it. There was a time that my number one aspiration was a press credential. Always thought it'd be amazing working for one of the big places like 247 or something. wow, I do not envy those guys for the next year, having to move the needle and sell subscriptions and come up with articles, every day and try to hide stuff. People are going to post it on Twitter as soon as you put it up behind a paywall. Like, yeah, I feel for those guys. I'm not going to hammer them too hard. They got a big infrastructure. Luckily, when you do your own thing, like Mark Rogers, like James Coleman, Den Media Group, the Renegade Report, we can put out podcasts when we decide. And the big one that's going weekly right now is the Renegade Roast, hosted by Jen Santee, my amazing co-host on the Renegade Rundown, as well as Tiny Hat CEO, our guy Ken. He's also there, the co-host. They have a great time. The original idea was to roast all of college football, kind of the funny things and things that we saw to make fun of, especially FSU's big three rivals, the ACC next, and then just whatever in the country. But from an FSU perspective, all fan bases welcome. Then 24 happened. It was pretty much just roasting our own team every week. And now, that's going to be some FSU stuff there weekly, as well as everybody else. But yeah, the Renegade Roast, go get caught up on that. We may do a special episode either tomorrow or Friday with the holidays and everything. Schedule's kind of pushed back. But look for the next show of the Renegade Roast.
James, what do you have going on this week?
Just a bunch of different things, man. I was being a community activist, but I'm actually bigger than that. That's cool, but I'm gonna keep it to Florida State. I'm going on my boy Freddie Stevenson's podcast. Tomorrow we're going to talk about it, and I guess he chops it up. Trials of Triumphs with fullback edition. And then I've got some other things. I'll be in not Pinellas County. I'll be in Clearwater, Tampa area for a few days. I'm doing some work and getting out there, linking up with some people I want to do some community work with. But we are close to 7,000 subscribers. We are 60 away from 7,000. Once we get to 7,000, we'll give away $500 on the next episode of Big Games BS. So if we get 60 between today and Friday, when I do my show on Friday, we will give away $500 on that show. And then $200 to subscribers. To members. So a member is anybody who's who pays $3.99 all the way up to $99.99 for an all-in package. And we get that. We are helping try to get people over to Mark Rogers show. We're doing a bunch of other different things. Like we did my show tonight. We're streaming high school games too. So that's the newest thing I've done. I bought a Wi-Fi thing that's pretty cool. Like I could get Wi-Fi anywhere as long as I have electricity. And it's really powerful, and we're streaming television. We're streaming television quality broadcast games. So we did Mandarin University this year. We'll be streaming the Reigns game versus Sarasota Booker. And then during the spring we'll be doing lacrosse. And then outside of that, my community stuff. I'm trying to buy 275 Christmas gifts for a school that I help keep open for 1 year. But Long Branch Elementary School, we're trying to give all of those kids, very impoverished area, try to get every kid Christmas. I'm going to actually pull up in a sled, Mark. I'm going to wear red. I'm going to try to get, hopefully my battle gear for my 7-on-7 will be here by then, but I'm going to wear actually, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get an MFTK sweatsuit, and I'm going to get a Santa Claus hat, and I'm going to wear red Jordans, and I'm going to come in like I'm Santa Claus, and we're going to give these kids Christmas, because they deal with a lot. So that's my favorite time of year. I like doing that stuff. I make all of the money and the proceeds that we get from Den Media Group go back to the community involvement. So that's been one of the coolest things about that, having advertisers, having stuff. And then 2026, man, I'm going to get my dog George down there. He's not going to just be able to hide. We're going to go and we're going to accurately cover Florida State. I'm going to get him. I'm going to do some things that we all talked about. And we're going to still do Mark Rogers. And we're going to do some stuff that we wanted to do a few years ago that we just weren't able to do because some things fell through. But it's too much goodness going on around to let some of this stuff go to waste.
So, James, you're about halfway there on Santa. Are you going to dye the beard?
Man, you
gonna
know,
do anything with that?
if I could dye it white, which is weird.
Yeah, is it?
So kind of part of me wants to dye it black one more time just to see how I looked, if I look young. But then I think I'm gonna do a little bit. I don't know, man. I gotta figure out which Santa Claus look I'm going for. But I got the glasses now. I think I need to get the little thing. Doesn't he have the thing that kind of like that keeps it on your ears or something like that? I might need to get that. But I am gonna get the Santa Claus hat. I don't know how I'm gonna rock it with my hair in a bun, but I am gonna get the Santa Claus hat. And do that, but it just get that going, all while trying to cover college football and get a chance to get credentialed for the playoffs and all of this other jazz.
So I got to hit two things here, and I want people to listen there in the chat. So one of them's less important than the other, so I'll hit that one first. But I do appreciate George is here, James is here, and as soon as James makes the comment after he lists about 42 things that he's doing, that he's still going to do the Mark Rogers show, you know, James, I
like doing your show, Mark. It gives me a chance to do what I really want to do in media. I don't like playing point guard. Like it's very I don't think people realize how difficult it is to lead a show. You're basically talking to yourself for however long. And Mark, you talk to yourself across multiple different platforms.
Yeah.
So like it's about different teams. So I don't know if you're crazy or if you're just really, really talented at talking to yourself. But the comments do help, but it's still like, comments can be distracting. So you have to be able to do that. But when you actually have somebody that can ask you the questions and kind of steer it, and I'm not talking about that new age point guard. I'm talking about the 80s where basketball was actually good. I just want to be a two guard. I just want somebody to pass me the ball and I just want to shoot. And it gets a different aspect of my personality and I'm able to really talk passionately and flesh some things out because I don't dictate the pace of it. And so I think that's why I like doing yours. Hey, you're cool. So that's why I like doing the show.
No doubt, James. I appreciate you, man. But
talk about hitting the nail on the head, man. Holy crap. My sentiments exactly about coming on here. It's a totally different thing. It's nice to have somebody else pulling the levers because, man, I'll tell you what, as far as, talking to yourself like you're crazy, that's another thing to give a big shout out for Mark Rogers allowing me to do his post-game show there for a couple years. I was forged in the fires of that. I had a hard time just doing a monologue. I wanted to have a guest or I'd have 10 pages of notes. But after about 4 or 5 of those games in 2024, we're good. I can just stare at the screen like a crazy person and talk now. Sorry to cut you off there.
Well, no doubt. I can relate to that because every so often, maybe once a month, somebody will ask me to be on their show and it's nice. I just come on here and can talk college football and give my opinion. And yeah, you don't have to pull the levers and deal with everything and play traffic cop. But I'm kind of used to that way, way back in my 20s and early 30s, being at the anchor desk during the nightly news doing the sports. So, you're used to listening to directors and producers tell you what to do and that you only have 30 seconds left and you better wrap it up and you better skip story 5 and go to story 6 and all that business. So I don't know that I could do that still, but I guess I reach my craziest when we do our 24-hour marathon leading into the season. And I line up about 3 or 4 people to at least give me like 4 hours off, give me like 4 naps during the day, but I do about the other 20 hours. So James, you're right. I'm crazy. So that was the least important thing. The most important thing was getting back to this Christmas charity, James. How can we get involved and donate?
One, if you go to mftkfoundation.com, you go to make a donation. You can use Stripe. You can give you the mailing address if you want to mail a check, or they can reach out to me, DMs at BigGameJames_36. You should be able to, or just hit me up. But it's my pin suite. It's Gift for Good Grades, and it shows a bunch of different things of how you can give. I say the website because if you want to, some people want to put it on a credit card. You can do that. That it's a Stripe. It gives you the opportunity to do that. If you go to donate today, that's what helps. I just ask that you put in there what you're earmarking the donation for, because we are fundraising for numerous different things, and I want to make sure it goes the way that it goes. The goal is it's about 6,000, whatever 275 times 25 is. I think it's just over $6,000 is what we're trying to raise. We have until next Friday to be able to do it. I'm not worried about where we get. I'm worried about getting something, and I know what I'm going to do to back the kids. I don't tell anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to put skin into the game. And we have my Tallahassee. We're doing Tallahassee too. So I'm going to Tallahassee, and I'm gonna give 100 gifts to kids in different places in Tally, in conjunction with some of the people in city government. I am doing some things. I'm going to talk with Mayor Deegan. I'm going to talk with some other people about how we can make some of these things happen, because Long Branch Elementary School, the school that we're doing that's where I do my book bag drive. And if anybody wants to hear my passion about it, and I appreciate you, Mark, for allowing me to talk about this on Florida State Pod, it's not sports related, but I do like when you do give me the opportunity. I appreciate it. But I do a minute. I went to a school board meeting, and those are very boring, by the way. Like I get why nobody goes to those things.
I used to cover them when I was like first out of college. Yes.
It's like 5 hours of nothingness and bureaucracy, and it's just I almost fell asleep. But I spoke for a minute, and you're supposed to get 3 minutes. But the entire community of Long Branch, of Phoenix Avenue, the hood, they bust over there, and they came out and they filled the school board meeting so that they could speak. So we had like 80 speakers, and most of them were speaking against the closure of that school, because of what it means. And, so those kids have thought that they weren't going to be able to go back to this school next year. So we kicked the can down the road, but we're going to come up with some effective things in the community. This is one of the things that we're going to do to launch, to show how much of and I like to tell them that people outside of that community care, because I don't live out there. That's so far from where I live at. But I do, but those kids are going to, I'm nowhere near as philanthropic as people think. Those kids are going to interact with my kids one day. And I need those kids to be okay so that they don't mess up my kids. And I think if more people were selfish as I am about not wanting their kids messed up, the world would probably be a better place. But, again, that's just one of my passion projects. Like even the school that's in that picture is Bond Elementary School. Every book bag drive in Tallahassee, that's supposed to be in one of the roughest areas in Tallahassee. I ain't never had nothing happen, nothing but goodness, and pleasure. Like the world ain't as scary as when you're from the hood. I've seen scare. I'm more afraid of the neighborhood I live in now. There's a bobcat running around my neighborhood right now, eating dogs. So I'm more afraid of that. We ain't have bobcats in the neighborhood I grew up in. So like it's more scary, and it's scary if you're a punk. The world's a scary place if you're a punk.
Well, James, I appreciate you shooting straight, and everything you said is the truth. But I am going to say that I'm not completely believing that the only incentive you've got to help those kids is that they don't mess up your kids. I know better than that.
Well, there's some goodwill in it. I feel good. When I almost died at 20, God don't want me and the devil ain't ready for me yet. I got to raise some more hell here so I can give people some heaven. And that's just something, and when Florida State sucks, I give more because it gives me a distraction. I'm telling you people, like that's what I promise you, if you actually get into the community, it'll make you feel a little bit less bad about how you're watching crap football on Saturdays. And ironically, as bad as Florida State plays, a lot of these kids in these situations, you know what tickets they're asking me to go to? They're asking me to go to FSU games.
Sure.
Partially because the tickets are cheap. They just want something to distract them for 3 hours.
Here's one thing, James, that I appreciate, and this may sound really silly, but to me, it gives like a tangible connection to. I could give you all sorts of charities that I back and I'm involved in, and yours does the same thing. And that's when I know, okay, I'm giving fresh water to these kids in Nigeria, and I know X number of dollars means that I am going to, contribute to this number of, water springs or this many children or, so forth. I'm not going to go into other things like that. But with yours, I know from the past, I knew, okay, if I give X number of dollars, I'm helping this many children, and I can kind of picture in my mind. It just helps me and inspires me to know, okay, I'm helping. I'm not just giving $100. Like I know I'm giving X number of dollars because X number of dollars is going to go to each child that's going to help them with X, Y, and Z.
And that's why we do it that way. Because I'm very cynical when it comes to stuff. Like I don't give to the Red Cross. I don't, and it's not saying anybody shouldn't do that. Yeah. When I found out that like 30% of my dollar, so 30 cents on my dollar is going toward the cause, I'm like, well, why don't I just give 70 cents to the cause? Like actually go there and do it.
It's like 3 cents.
Yeah. I write the check to the girl, Brittany, who oversees my stuff. So almost, I can't say 100% but most damn near 100% goes toward exactly what it says. So that's why I want to say $36 for a book bag. And then I like to show them like, hey, because I wouldn't believe it either. Like I'm about to show you, this is what the bag looked like. This is what's in the bag. So like, that's what I'm saying. Part of it, I do want to kind of hang out with the kids. Some of these kids are cool, but I'm going to show you me having 275 gifts and what it's like and the fun part is engaging the community to get them to wrap these gifts. Like when we did the book bag drive, having a law firm and people who pick the Gator Bowl to come in and having like a assembly line where they were packing bags. It was kind of cool to see, like, these people took time off of their job to come and do this. They didn't have to do that. But I also tell, it's like a lot of time, talent, and treasure. So when you give me that, that's your way of, like, you can't be there, Mark. Like you gotta, if you're there, who's going to run Mark Rogers? Like somebody got to do all these, got to talk all this stuff, but you doing this isn't, like me doing this is an extension of you. So you're able to go and directly benefit. And what I always like to tell people is that there's a lot of people that are watching y'all be successful. Same thing when I do my 7-on-7 with these young men. I'm going to tell them, like, hey, you're not representing me. You're not representing just your families. You're representing a bunch of people who poured into you by giving to you that you don't even know. Like they gave to you off the strength of my reputation. So you need to pay it forward so that the next kid can get it by you behaving properly. So my mom would whoop my behind if I was there. My mom is, I've done a lot of bad. That's her thing. She's like, you got to go do some good. So, but that's the big thing, man. I just, like I said, the holiday, it makes you feel good about the holiday season when you go and you see somebody, and it makes you feel grateful. Like, I hear stories like my grandmother who passed, I told y'all that Labor Day weekend. She would always tell me how spoiled we were because, when she had Christmas, she got an orange and she was grateful. I'm like, well, yeah, God damn, orange, man. That's great. But then you see some people, my son will get J's. My son will have, my baby boy will get probably like a couple $100 in Robux. I don't even know. I'm not quite sure what Robux is, but I know he loves them and he spends it so fast. But then to see a kid, I'm gonna make them give whatever this gift is that we give to this kid. And some of it's a ball. But that might be all that kid got. And I remember me, bowl games. Why bowl games mean so much to me is because I didn't get much during Christmas. I got $500 from the bowl game and $500 from Florida State in gifts. And when I got them gifts, man, I was like, I can't wait to bowl season to get some gifts or get some cash. A lot of people don't have what we have. We're all you ain't got to go overseas to go do a mission trip. There's people around the corner that are doing just as bad as some of them people overseas. Yep. You just wouldn't know it because we do live in the greatest country in the world. Yep. But some people, whether choices are their own, choices of other people, things happen. They haven't got a chance to participate in it yet. So that's why I do my stuff, man. But I don't feel like I feel like I'm preaching right now. I don't want to feel like that.
I love it. So I'm going to keep being crazy because I got another show to do. I'm going to run and go take calls and talk coaching carousel. And I'm going to pick on some Indiana fans because they are acting like complete morons on the internet. 2 guys in particular. And I responded to their video post where they're making ridiculous comments. And so I said, who are these morons? But they're invited on my show. So I got a hold of them. I called them morons on Twitter and I invited them on my show. So I got to give it up for them because they said, sure, I'll come on. I don't know if they're going to be on tonight though, but I'm running to go take calls and talk some more college football. So, James, I know you got a zillion things going on, so I appreciate you being here. George, I know you've got so much going on, and obviously working more than full time, plus running your channel, plus. So you guys are amazing. So thanks for being here.
All right. Appreciate you, Mark.
Folks, we'll get together next week sometime. Again, subscribe, Den Media Group. You see the donations for the kids for Christmas. We've dropped the link in the chat. Renegade Report with George. Do it all. And be back here next week on Florida State Live.